So, Trevor, my friend, you are resurrecting now that, 84 fire-breathing Widowmaker CR 500 Honda 4-stroke single? Huh, yeah, fire retardant underwear, my friend. Um, in the first place, those machines from that era, especially the Hondas, the big single 4-strokes, were notorious for being difficult to start. Each machine needed a different choke and throttle setting and how you quite held your tongue at the best of times. And they would start differently again from one machine to another as to they were cold, they were hot, wherever they were in the middle. Now that said, that's not really your issue, I don't think. If everything's normal, what you would do with that motorcycle is, having ascertained where to hold your tongue, the throttle, and the choke, you would stroke it through to the top of its compression stroke and have at her, and good luck and hope it doesn't kick back. I think what we may have missed, because of, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago when I was at your place and you first started this project, I did the carburetor and we ran through the machine. Somebody had messed with this, that, and the other thing and everything else. I don't recall, now here's the point, soaking the cylinder. That bike sat for how many years? The rings in the piston lands would be, we used to use the term tartared up, or gummed up if you prefer. They won't be moving properly, and so you won't have decent compression. I'm sure you've heard the term a wet and dry compression check. I don't recall we did anything with that at that time. What I would have done back in the day was I'd have given it a good, couple of ounces of diesel fuel in the cylinder, and I'd have come along regularly throughout my day in the shop and bumped the Kickstarter to kind of move and work the piston up and down and get that diesel fuel gooshing through, and then I'd have followed it up with some transmission fluid to try and get the rings freed up in amongst that gum and tartar. I don't recall, I don't think we did any of that. Now you just changed the oil, so you don't really want to necessarily start all over again and contaminate that. I would suggest a thimbleful-ish of transmission fluid. It's thin and it's high in detergents. Pour it in the cylinder and do the wiggly, gooshy thing, and that'll get your rings wet and moving. Now you mentioned towing it. That's not a bad idea, but it's a little rough on those rings, assuming we didn't do anything to free them up. So I would suggest a soak of some form, whichever route you choose to take, because you're asking for a pretty hard bump start there on getting the old girl going. If you are going to tow it, put it up in like third or fourth or something. Do make sure the kill switch, the clutch, and the brakes work. That fire-breathing monster might climb up the backside of whatever you're towing it with. But anyways, that's my advisement to you at this point in time, because yeah, if we didn't, and I don't think we did do anything with those rings, you'll kick your guts out on that thing, and if the rings are dry, they're not working, you've really got no compression. Now, I can't remember, but I'm assuming that Key carburetor has an accelerator pump on it. I'm almost certain it does. So when you give it a blip on the throttle, it does have that accelerator pump. But where is your piston in the stroke? If the intake valve is closed, that fuel's just going to lie on the intake tract and probably cause you more grief than good. There is the, assuming we've got the rings, you have the rings working, the compression's decent and stuff. You probably got a compression gauge there, right? You know how to use one. Sure you do. And if it's a little low, don't worry about it, because again, this ringland business, I know I'm rambling on here, I'm just trying to cover all the bases at once. A little squirt of fuel, you know, with your spray bottle in the intake tract, don't use either. And let me know how it goes. I don't know what else to tell you. And I did mention you can take out the insurance policy with me. Be careful, my friend.